Hey nerds, Jared Bear here. Welcome back to the channel. Today is Monday, and today we are reacting to the original Star Wars Episode 9, which was supposed to be called Duel of the Fates. This is by Mr. Sunday Movies, who I feel like we've reacted to something before. I think it was the pixelated, like the 16-bit stuff. Yeah, good channel. 1.17 million subscribers. This video has 373,000 views, posted just January 24th. Of this year. So I don't know if this is, let me see something real quick. Okay, so it's not animated. It looks like he's just going to be discussing the movie, at least what the movie was supposed to be, being episode 9. As you know, Colin Trevorrow didn't get to do the movie because of what Rian Johnson gave us. So instead we got episode 9 by J.J. Abrams, who also made The Force Awakens, episode 7, which I personally loved. And then we got The Last Jedi. And then we got The Rise of Skywalker. And in there, too, we also got Solo. Those are 3 movies I do not care for at all. And if you like those, if you're somebody who's on the opposite side who love those movies, that's really cool, man. I'm glad that you got that. For me personally, it just didn't do what I feel like the movies needed to do. But I have reacted to a few things about the script from Duel of the Fates, and it just seems like this would have been a phenomenal movie. And again, of course, the scripts and the concept art is always completely different than what we actually get. There's a lot of stuff left on the cutting room floor. So let's hear what Mr. Sunday Movie has to say about this. Maybe he just goes over the script.
So you may have heard about the script leaks that are related to Star Wars Episode 9, the Colin Trevorrow version that was not made.
Trevorrow, not Trevorrow.
A bunch of high-res concept art just showed up on the internet, which is completely different than what we got in The Rise of Skywalker. Apparently also The Rise of Skywalker, the Art of book, is being recalled to remove some stuff, so it'll be interesting to see whether any of this stuff actually makes the cut. There is some fascinating stuff here though, and I kind of just want to talk about it and go through it, and also use this as a video to announce some stuff that's coming up here soon, which I think you may like. So if you want to leave a like on this video, that'd be great. Right, so I just want to mention that these images come from the earliest draft, which Robert Meyer Burnett ran through on his channel. I'll link that below if you do want to check it out. It was a very early days version of the film. It was before the release of The Last Jedi, and even before Carrie Fisher passed. So it's unlikely that what we get here would have been exactly the final version if Trevorrow had even stayed on. So Coruscant was going to feature heavily in this movie, culminating in a huge battle. The First Order would have taken it over, and they would have taken the Art Deco skyline that we saw in the prequels, and kind of hodgepodge built on top of it, so it's a bit more ramshackled, and this floating over the top is the First Order capital ship. Hux is still
reminds me of Independence Day.
First Order. Kylo Ren is off hiding. We'll talk about him in a minute. This character being executed is Bisk Kova. You see they look like they're in a rebel flight uniform. This movie was going to open with members of the rebellion stealing a Star Destroyer, which is then used later.
Was that a Kyber Crystal Gauntlet? Dude, that's sick.
In the movie. And Finn, Poe, and Rose are captured and then rescued by Rey, who shows up in a Tusken Raider disguise.
Look at that.
Only to reveal this outfit, very reminiscent of Luke Skywalker in Return of the Jedi. And this double-bladed lightsaber is apparently a combination of the Skywalker lightsaber and that staff that she's carrying. But anyway, getting back to this is...
But instead, we get a random saber at the end of The Rise of Skywalker.
The laser guillotine. And this person here, this wasn't mentioned in the script breakdown. It's a lot like Captain Phasma. So
looks just like Phasma, actually.
At some point she was going to survive in The Last Jedi, or maybe she was just going to have that same fate and she was brought back regardless. Maybe it's not her at all though, who knows. This is Rey meditating because she's under the tutelage of Luke Skywalker as a ghost. Apparently there's some conflict between the two of them because she thinks the way the Jedi have been operating and the whole light-dark aspect of the Force has never really worked.
So Luke was always supposed to go.
Also, Kylo Ren,
in Episode 8.
Images of this, unfortunately. He's hiding out on Vader's castle and haunted by the ghost of Luke Skywalker. So, you know, when he said, "I'll see you around, kid," I guess he meant that literally and not as a metaphor, I guess. He ends up finding a Sith holocron with a message from the Emperor, who's still dead, by the way, which explodes in his face because it was intended for Darth Vader. And he ends up smelting Mandalorian metal to his head to kind of repair it, which we see a little bit more of later.
1, the Emperor's still dead in this version. Thank you. Fantastic. 2, Mandalorian metal's a nice touch, melting into his helmet to bring it back, which explains him getting his helmet. Or maybe he always had his helmet. They said this was before Episode 8. And he's on Mustafar in Vader's castle, and he's actually being haunted by Luke, which Luke said, you know, "I'll see you around, kid." That didn't happen at all, like whatsoever, in Episode 9. Great.
So this is Coruscant as well, where Finn, Rose, R2-D2 and C-3PO, they're going to the lower levels, to the old Jedi Temple, because the idea is that they're going to activate a beacon, which will send out across the galaxy and the First Order can't block it, which will rally people to their cause. There's actually an image later where we see Finn and what I think is Rose activating that very beacon, calling in the likes of Broom Kid and Bosk even. Not a joke, apparently he was really in it. Great stuff. Meanwhile though, while that's
That'd have been cool.
Kylo Ren travels to Remicor because the message from the Emperor mentioned a Tor Valum. He's this old Sith teacher who apparently instructed the Emperor and I guess Plagueis, I assume. Anyway, he teaches Kylo, though, how to drain the life force out of somebody, which also comes into play later.
So that explains the concept art thing that I watched.
You know, similar to what happens to Luke on Dagobah. And he also duels an apparition of Darth Vader, and in doing so, he actually loses. While all this is happening, though, Rey, Poe, Chewbacca, BB-8...
Like, just think about how cool that would have been to watch Kylo fight Vader, even though it's a vision. Kind of like Luke's dream he had fighting Vader.
They go to the planet Bonadan, which in the concept art notes that's where Poe used to live with his grandfather. This ship here that they're having a run-in with, that's the Knife 9, which reintroduces the Knights of Ren. Rey apparently kills them all as well, so there you go. I guess they don't factor that much into this version either. This is Finn rallying.
Knights of Ren were so wasted. Oh, look, Finn yelling like normal.
First Order. Apparently, a lot of them are also made up of defected stormtroopers, like he is. Maybe word spread that he escaped, kind of inspired these people to leave. And what they end up doing is outfitting all the vehicles from the stolen Star Destroyer, AT-STs and the like, to use against the First Order. And we see a bit of that going on here. The battle that takes place on Coruscant ends up being a lot of defected stormtroopers, plus a space battle that was everybody rallied across the universe.
Finn could have been so cool.
Order. And because they actually succeed, Hux actually commits suicide because he's got this whole side story in this narrative that he's collecting Force artifacts because he's obsessed with the Force and wants to be Force sensitive, but he isn't, and he ends up impaling himself on a lightsaber when he loses. In the draft that was leaked, it was actually supposed to be a purple lightsaber, implying that it was Mace Windu's. It's obviously a different version here. Maybe I can Photoshop that. Oh, that's perfect.
That just works in wrapping up the entire effing saga.
Again, this is before Carrie Fisher passed. This whole thing looks very much like a nod to A New Hope with a white outfit and all. It's not really clear what point in the movie that this takes place, but it was in it, that we know. Oh, this is Rey taking on a beast on Mortis before her final confrontation with Kylo Ren. Notice in the corner there it says D. Chang, who's of course a classic Star Wars concept artist. He's done consistently terrific work on a bunch of these films. We also know that when Rey and Kylo duel, here's a closer look at his mask. It's kind of Revan-esque.
That's
dope. He
slashes
her across the face and blinds her. Then he ends up in a confrontation with Luke Skywalker, the ghost of, who manages to catch his lightsaber. An element of that, I guess, may have carried over when he catches the lightsaber that Rey throws. And it's from there that Rey rallies and comes back and, you know, they duel again and she's winning the duel. So he like sucks the Force energy out of her, but then he gives her back and he's good or whatever, and then he dies. You know how these things go. And here we've got C-3PO.
He kind of rushed the explanation. I would like a more in-depth explanation of what I just heard, but yeah.
Warning a broken R2-D2, who's apparently killed in the Battle of Coruscant. I mean, he's been killed before. I mean, he was shot in the head in the Death Star run, but he is actually revived.
I mean,
this
true.
movie culminates in him recounting the events of the Star Wars from his perspective to people standing around watching and going, oh yeah, that's really interesting. What a great story. So yeah, that's essentially it. Now, if you do want more details on this, funnily enough, Ethan Taylor, who's done some animations on this channel before, he's currently working on a condensed version of this script, which is going to be animated. This is a test that he sent over.
Oh yeah, we'll definitely do that for like a Fan Film Friday type of deal. I mean, that version is just so much cooler than what we got. And again, it doesn't mean that that movie would have been perfect, but it definitely had the script to support it. Just all of it. It seems like it would have wrapped up the saga a lot better because we kind of have The Force Awakens, right? Which just shows us these new characters. It's basically A New Hope. I get that. I still love the movie. It introduces these characters. I was blown away by Kylo Ren. We get Rey. It ends with Rey giving Luke the saber. And then we get episode 8. And you're like, okay, well, I mean, that kind of plays off of 7. It's kind of wiping that away. But I can see the direction they want to go in. And then we get episode 9. And because of the backlash from 8 and splitting like the fan base almost in 2, it's like, well, now we got to pretty much retcon episode 8. And now make episode 8 not make any sense, but also episode 7 still doesn't make complete sense. And then we just get left with a mess. Look, there's bits and pieces of The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker that I enjoy. But overall, following what they gave us in episode 7, a lot of it doesn't make a whole bunch of sense when it comes to storytelling. I've heard people just say, turn your brain off and just watch it. And it's like, yeah, dude, I mean, I can do that, but I can enjoy those movies probably as standalone, but it's not. It's in a story, and it kind of takes it away from it. So I get why people love it. I get why people hate it. I see both sides, actually, when it comes to this, the Star Wars debacle. I don't see how anybody likes Solo, to be honest. But other than that, yeah, I think the Colin Trevorrow, however you say his name, I'm sorry I keep butchering it. I feel like Duel of the Fates would have been perfect, and hopefully we would have actually heard dun, 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 dun. Oh, at least hopefully we would actually heard that. We haven't heard that since episode like 3, episode 2 maybe. Terrible. Anyways, that's all I got for the video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys enjoyed the reaction. I hope you enjoyed the information. We will definitely do the Fan Film Friday of the animated version they're going to do here maybe next week. I already had something planned for this Friday. I had something planned for next Friday, but it wasn't that important. So I think I may jump over it with this here. I think that'll be good. So that's all I got for the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to just drop a like. It'll help more people see the video. In the top right-hand corner, we'll put the Star Wars playlist. Bottom right-hand corner will be all reactions. Top left-hand corner will be the sub button. And below that is all socials. Check back for gameplays, commentaries, news, and updates. Later, nuts.